Well, world established rich coming right back at you. Listen, federal authorities have finally ended the search for Frank Matthews. 53 years and the government finally said, we done. That ain't just a decision, that's a confession. It means they never found him and now they closed the case. They called Frank Black Caesar, not because he wanted a crown, but because everything moved when he spoke. While most men were chasing corners, Frank Matthews was chasing control. In the late 60s and early 70s, the streets were loud. Heroin in the air, desperation on every block. Men were fighting over pennies, while Frank was studying the pipelines. He didn't want to be a dealer. He wanted to be the source. That's a different mindset. That's empire thinking. In 1971, he approached the Italian mafia. He wanted to be a partner. They turned him down, not with guns, but with dismissal. And sometimes no is more dangerous than a war because it creates something with nothing to lose. So Frank don't go to war with them. He outsmarts them. He calls a meeting in Atlanta, not New York. Neutral ground, safe ground. Black dealers from multiple states all in one room. No boasting, no rapping, just maps and routes. It was one question that shifted everything. Why are we buying from the middleman? We need to go straight to the source. No permission asked. And that was the moment the game broke open. And Frank Matthews became the pipeline.
I had several people, trusted people, quick workers that would spend a day packaging dope, that much of it. I mean, after all, we're talking about a 32-gallon garbage can being mixed with a canoe paddle with quinine. That's a lot of dope to put together. Picture cartons upon cartons, 2.5 million glassine envelopes that were there already. That's a lot of dope.
Heroin and cocaine flooded 21 states. Not dripped, flooded. Over $100 million in net profit. Not gross, net. That's not street money. That's nation-level disruption money. And through all of it, Frank never looked like a dope boy.
Coming up in the elevator, some of Frank Matthews' men were in the elevator with their fancy fur coats and the jewelry, attache cases and whatever.
Frank had an apartment, that one of these old-time apartments. When you walked into a closet, it was like a walk-in closet. One of these closets was filled with money. Over your head.
Tailored suits, silk shirts, fur coats, Rolex watches, no cartoon chains and no sweat because panic destroys numbers and Frank lived by the numbers. Fast forward to Las Vegas, Muhammad Ali fight week, flashing cameras, high stakes. Frank is in the building, not hiding. When a man thinks he's untouchable, he starts sitting in the front row. January 1973, Las Vegas airport. The DEA makes their move. They put handcuffs on Frank. Income tax evasion, heroin and cocaine conspiracy. Now the system is saying his name out loud. The judge sets his bail at $5 million. Highest bail in American history at that time. And then it happened. The bail gets dropped to $325,000 cash. And that's the moment a ghost gets born. July 2nd, 1973, Brooklyn Federal Court. Frank Matthews is scheduled to appear. The bench is ready. The marshals are ready. The prosecutors are ready. The defendant never shows. Not late. Gone. $20 million in cash, disappeared. His girlfriend disappeared. His Staten Island mansion safe, empty. No struggle, no force. Just a man who packed on his own time and walked out of history. Now the manhunt begins. The FBI opens a file, and that file never closes until 2025. Year after year, not a single verified sighting. No dead body, no photograph, just rumors. Some say the Genovese crime family killed him. Others say he escaped to the West Indies under a new name, new life, new face. But while the world debates a ghost, a woman is left with real-world consequences. Barbara Hinton, his wife, 3 children, no husband. 53 years of questions with 0 answers. She never remarried, never cooperated, and to this day, she says she still has never spoken with Frank. Today, if Frank Matthews was still alive, he would be 81 years old. 81 years old, and it's still a question mark. His name lives on in documentaries, rap songs, books, but the man never came back. And now the government has officially given up. The search is over. Not because they won, but because the clock did. Now, let's talk about the manhunt. July 1973, Frank Matthews is officially a fugitive. Not a rumor, a file. The hunt is now federal, and it will stay that way for half a century. The call goes out across the country. All airports, all borders. The FBI takes the lead. This is now a national manhunt. The problem is, Frank didn't run like a normal man. He didn't panic. He prepared. No credit cards, no passports, no phone calls, no check-ins. Everything about him goes quiet at the same time. That's not fear. That's planning. The first theory hits the streets fast. The mafia got him. The Genovese crime family. The most powerful family on the East Coast at that time. The same people he cut off in the supply chain. The same people he embarrassed with his success. The theory goes like this. They feared he would flip, feared he would talk, and feared he would point them out. So they silenced him. quietly. No body, no witnesses, just a dead man on paper. But here's the problem. The streets never believed that because dead men stopped casting shadows and Frank's shadow never stopped moving. Years pass, the file stays open. New agents come in, old ones retire. Everybody chases the same question. How does a man just vanish? The West Indies theory comes next. Barbados, Trinidad, St. Lucia. Islands where cash is king and questions don't travel far. The theory says he changed his name and bought property through other people. Never stood in front, always in the background. The theory says he aged in the sun while his legend aged in the dark. But here's what never added up. Frank is a control freak, a routine man, a structured man. Men like that don't retire easy. Men like that don't stop checking the clock. Which means if he was alive, he was watching the news, watching the streets, watching how the game evolved without him. Crack era, hip-hop era, new cartels, new bosses. The world he built turned into something he never recognized. And through all of those decades, the FBI never closed the file. Not in the 80s, not in the 90s, not after 9/11, not after the internet. New technology, same question. And then there was Barbara, his wife, left behind, 3 kids with no father. Detectives came, feds came, year after year, asking the same thing. Where is Frank? When did you last hear from him? Did he ever call? Her answer never changed, not once. I don't know a man named Frank Matthews. That's not a lie. That's a wall. She never remarried, never went broke, never took a deal, never sold a story. She raised his children alone, with half the world calling her a liar. And that detail matters because silence is heavy, and most people can't carry it for 53 years. Meanwhile, the legend grows. Movies, documentaries, rap lyrics, every era reinvents Frank Matthews, but none of them can find him. FBI kept this case open longer than most marriages last, longer than most careers last, until 2025. Quietly, the file gets a final stamp. Search terminated, case closed. Not because he was caught, but because time ran out. That's the part that should haunt you. A man can outrun handcuffs, a man can outrun bullets, but time catches everybody, which means only 2 things can be true. Either Frank Matthews died a free man, or he is somewhere alive reading about himself in the paper. Now, here we are in 2025. There was no press conference, no sirens, no victory lap, just a quiet update from the FBI. The search for Frank Matthews is officially over. 53 years, and that's how the legend ends. Not with handcuffs, not with a verdict, not with a body, but with a sentence on a website. That hit different because this case was bigger than a man. This was a test between a human mind and the most powerful government on the planet Earth. And at the end of it all, the government blinked. They never found him. They never proved he died. They never brought him back. They just stopped asking. If Frank Matthews is still alive today, he is 81 years old. 81, that's grandparent age. That's sit on the porch and watch the sunset age, which means the question gets heavier. Did he live long enough to rest, or did he live long enough to be tired? Because running for 53 years is not romantic. That's a prison with no boss. Every knock on the door becomes a warning. Every stranger becomes a test. You don't trust, you don't settle, you don't exhale. You just exist, waiting. And while the world argues about where he went, one person never moved at all. Barbara, his wife. 3 children, 1 parent. No money train, no Hollywood escape. Just real life, day after day. The feds came for 53 years asking the same questions. Where is he? Did he call? Do you know anything? Her answer never changed, not even on bad days. She never remarried, never sold a story, never wrote a book. She kept the secret so long, it became a language. And that right there is the other side of this story. Every kingpin story got a woman in the shadow. And the shadow never gets credit for carrying the dark. Now, let's talk about the theories. The first theory I told y'all about never died. The Genovese family. They say the mafia killed him to prevent him from testifying. No grave, no confirmation. Just a street rumor that never got tired. The second theory is just as loud. The West Indies. New name, new passport. Property brought through other people. Money washed until it forgot its own face. That theory says he got old in the sun, while his legend stayed young in the dark. But here's what both theories have in common. Nobody ever proved either one. And when nobody can prove anything, a man becomes a myth. His name moved into movies, documentaries, hip-hop lyrics, street lore. Frank Matthews became a symbol, not a person. A symbol of escape, a symbol of defiance, a symbol of what happens when a man outthinks the system, but never gets to come home. And now the file is closed. No more search teams, no more investigations, no more knocks at Barbara's door. Just a line through a name in a federal archive. So here's a question I'm gonna leave y'all with. Did Frank Matthews win, or did he just avoid losing? Because winning means you get to rest, and running means you never do. And if he's still alive today at 81, that means he spent his entire life looking over his shoulder. No closure, no apology, just breath and memory. And that's how this story ends. Not with a body, not with a verdict, but with the government finally admitting we lost. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Established Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.